Good afternoon. Yeah. Quickly, we can sum up with certain issues related to science and technology, environment and biodiversity, and the common mistakes that we see as far as science and tech papers or science and tech questions are concerned, as well as environment and biodiversity questions are concerned. If we simply look up to GS paper 3, so as the theme of the discussion itself says, first and foremost problem associated with science and technology is the monotonous nature of understanding. Because when we try and define the exact status of science and technology, we try to somewhere down the track narrow it down to GS paper 3 only. But certainly questions have not been in GS paper 3 only. Questions have been related with other sections of the paper as well. Like for example, GS paper 3 itself in economics also, we find certain science and technology question, micro irrigation tools and techniques last year itself, or defense procurement policy and its understanding and analysis in 2014, rather in 13. So understanding this particular topic, or the common mistake that we look up to science and technology is, first aspect, the monotonous understanding as far as this topic is concerned. I mean, whenever we'll see science and technology flashing into our minds, first thing that we should understand, or we would understand, it is all about facts. And there is an emphasis over facts. Obviously, if we know the facts, if we know the exact scientific discovery, if we know what has happened, probably we'd be able to tackle this particular thing. That is one particular mistake that is going around. We must not restrict it to facts. Second thing, if we look up to facts, there are ample amount of facts, there are ample amount of general studies, GK type or current affairs type things which are available. Obviously, when we link it to science and tech, we say it is only current affairs. Possibly not the current affairs, right? Now, the problem has been with science and technology is that we have narrowed it down to say 2-3 topics that, okay, fine, science and technology, defense, space, nuclear, nano, biotech, science and technology is finished. Right? One more thing that we must add into science and technology is we must link it to the data and the facts in economic development, social sector benefit, obviously with governance, and the other areas where risk mitigation or social empowerment is concerned. Like for example, if we look up to the question last year itself, a simple question, what are the achievements of ISRO? Now, if we'll answer the achievements of ISRO, the available database would be available on PIB itself. You go December 2016, you'll find the annual review of all the things which have been done by ISRO or the Department of Space, right? But would that solve everything, or would that answer everything? Now, usually how we will approach that particular answer? Simple example. first part or first pattern of writing the answer would have been just keep on jumbling the things, right? We have one particular objective that we must write the maximum amount of the things which are written in the answer must be objective. They must be written in points, and what we will do, we will start writing this into points. The another pattern of writing this simple answer would be dividing the answer into different sectors. Role of ISRO in scientific achievements, first thing, which would have been the major, which would have taken much amount of space, much amount of the words in the earlier format. Role of ISRO in economic development. Role of ISRO in social development. Role of ISRO in regional cooperation. Which precisely would open up many things into this, right? So I'm just trying to compare what probably we might have done and how it could have been improved to a particular part where a segregation could have been created in the information itself. So one thing itself we must not do as far as mains is concerned, we must not restrict science and technology only to information. Obviously, presentation of this information is equally important when we are writing answers for science and technology or the associated topics also. Second thing that we have spoken about also, that science and technology also links up to which may be flanking or which may be associated with technology. Then we find one more confusing aspect. That is, if it is asked in GS paper 2, say for example a question asked in 2014, what should be done to improve the technical education in the country, somewhere down the track related to ITs and IMs, right? Or there was a question in 2016, what has to be done to improve the primary health sector and the primary education sector of the country itself. Obviously, with social sector benefits, we may write about different policies or we may write about certain initiatives. But as far as the technical aspect of the question is concerned, we must implement certain things or we must embed certain things which should directly come from science and technology. That is also left probably with GS paper 2 also. Because we find it in social sector or we find it in society, so we write, okay fine, it must be written on the basis of policy. That must also be written on the basis of certain scientific facts. So if you are jumbling up the things, first and common mistake that is being done, don't be very specific that okay fine, science and technology 2 questions, I will be able to solve that thing. It is not only 2 questions. It is not less than 5 questions which is asked, not less than 5 which is asked every year. Although in a diverted form, in a form that we'll find okay fine, this particular topic may not be science and technology topic but is directly related to science and technology. So that mistake must not be done. And obviously, to write the technology based answer or to write such answers, we must have a simple framework, very objective framework obviously, a simple initiation, probably initiation with a definition, probably initiation with defining the keywords in the answer itself, writing as many points or simply putting up the information in a series format. Sometimes second mistake with science and technology answer is that we are not able to link up majority things in the majority things written in the question paper itself. Say for example, if they are written in a particular part or in particular segment or in particular section, so we'll write one information over here and another unrelated information is written on the next point itself. That unrelation or that monotony in writing the answers or that discontinuity in writing the answers must not be favored as far as science and technology is concerned. So second thing that we must take into this, that okay fine, usually we will find okay science and technology answer must not be written with a flow, there is no need of introduction, there is no need of body, or there is no need of conclusion also. That is one thing that must be followed, but that does not give the liberty that there must be a discontinuity in the answer. One thing over here, second thing over here, third thing over here, fourth thing over there, at least they must be interrelated. That must be taken care of while writing these technology answers also. Right. My objective of coming up onto this IAS was also to link up certain important topics that we can look up for this year's mains itself, right? Because there's a lot much which has been discussed as far as how to write answers in mains is concerned. Probably 3 teachers have discussed that particular thing. We'll look up to certain list of topics which may be important for this year's mains, and which I presumably think that there could be certain questions related to that in this year's exam, and how or what issues can be raised on those topics that can be important for us, right? First one in this, space technologies. Obviously we have seen a question related to achievements of ISRO last year, so presumably we will not find a similar type of question this year also, that okay fine, what has been the achievement in 2016, now you say it in 2017, probably not. So analysis of the topics which may be seen in space science and technology as far as this is concerned, maybe the policies required or certain initiatives that are to be taken up. And first and foremost thing that is required for space science and technology is the space policy in the country. So what could be the utility of space policy in the country? What could be the basic initiation, or what could be the basic idea of having space law in the country? That may be the first topic or issue that can be important from space science and technology this year. Why? And comparing to this, there could be an analysis over already existing policies. Like in 2011, there was a policy which was the remote sensing policy of the country. Then we have the draft Geospatial Information Bill. Apart from that, there are certain policies which are created for satellite and satellite maneuvering or utilities also. Now, despite having such policies, is there a need of having space policy in the country, or do you find a space for space law in the country? Or what could be the benefit of space law or having a space policy in the country apart from having the national science and technology policy also? So why do you require this particular thing? Is there any need for space policy, or do you find space for space policy as such? That could be the first issue. Obviously, do I need to answer this thing also, or there are answers for this? I guess there are answers for this. Just look into one more thing, that how do we compare this particular thing? Do you think that it could be the space law, or you require an umbrella policy over here to incorporate all the things? Whether that could also be one dimension a question can be diverted or question can be asked into this. Second thing associated over here, where do you think there could be failures as far as space regulation is concerned with these policies also? What presumably are the failures? Why would a draft space policy or law would be better than this, or why it would not be in similar line with this, right? That could also be one dimension where we can find certain things associated. Obviously, The second important thing that has been in news was the SARC satellite. So for facts, there are many things which are available for SARC satellite. All we need to understand, or all we can generate, is one thing. We all know that this is the satellite for regional cooperation. Apart from this, there could be certain other roles associated with SARC satellite, like how it can be helpful in banking sector in the region, how it can be helpful in medicine, how it can be helpful in disaster risk mitigation, how it can also be helpful in social sector benefit. That's how I was trying to link up technology over here. Now this SARC satellite can be a question of, SARC satellite can be one particular topic that can be shared between technology and international relations again, or the regional relations again. So obviously that becomes one particular topic. Apart from this, how different roles have been carved out or have been niched out of SARC satellite for these sectors, they can also be something where important topics can be driven out of it. And obviously the third and the probably the continuous thing as far as space technology is concerned, Indian Neutrino Observatory, LIGO, or rather Indigo, its utility, and the 30-meter telescope and what benefits India would drive in out of it, why it would be important in proving the exact state of space science and technology development in the country itself. That can be the third major issue that probably or presumably can be important this year. Second thing associated with this or to the topic is the issues related to nanotechnology. Obviously, we have seen one particular question last year also, what are the developments or achievements associated with nanotechnology in the country. Another issue that can be raised out of nanotechnology in the present time is the problems associated with intellectual property rights and nanotechnology development in the country. Obviously, after the intellectual property rights policy, there have been certain initiations taken up in the country itself, and with Make in India coming up with this, there are multiple manufacturing clusters also which are created for nanotechnology. There are multiple initiations which are taken up by the private bodies also, by the governmental initiatives also, to improve the nanotechnology or the state of development of new materials or new tools and new techniques or methods. And obviously, when we look up to patents in the country or patents all across, things that can be patented are materials or processes. And again, there are objections over the new methods of manufacturing. There are always question marks raised over creation of a particular thing from two different processes. So the intellectual property rights problems, patenting problems in the country across the globe as far as the nanotechnology things are concerned, that may also remain one of the important issues this year, probably, presumably for nanotechnology. So things associated with that, at least you can go through. There are 3-4 articles which are available. Simply type on Google down IPR policy, IPR and nanotechnology issues in the country. You'll find 2 reviews. One of them can be important. One review is from one particular analysis or review given by certain lawyers of Supreme Court. So certain facts from that particular sheet can be important. That can be taken up. for this year's nanotechnology topics. Apart from this, if we look up to defense technology, obviously there are many things, and if we look up to the current affairs part, defense as such presumably remains objective in the present time, and much of the questions we may resume, or we may the expectation of these questions can be more for the prelims exam. But there are certain things which have been asked from the defense sector in mains also, despite having just one question in the last 3 or 4 years. But the defense procurement policy 2016 can be important. And specifically under the defense procurement policy, there has been a strategic partnership model which has been initiated by Government of India, and it is just an initiation how the defense manufacturing clusters can be created with the help of private bodies in the country itself. That can be something which may be important this year, or analysis of having that whether do you think that defense procurement policy is well placed, and despite having enough amount of FDI in the defense sector itself, do you think that having strategic partnership model in the defense procurement policy would be beneficial for the country, or how it can help in improving the Make in India state in the country itself? That can be one issue which can be important this year as far as the defense sector is concerned also. Apart from this, in the defense, the general understanding, just go through PIV December 2016 review. The achievements of defense sector, or the achievements of DRDO, or the achievements of Ministry of Defense, that you will find over PIV itself. Just go through, just like we have seen a question in achievements of say space science and technology last year, probably we may find achievements of defense sector in the country this year also. So just a minor issue, but can be important. We will find many things associated in that also. There is a sheet associated, and in that sheet there are many things jumbled up as far as the current happenings are concerned. So you will find missiles, you will find the different types of water vehicles also, different types of technologies which are being developed currently. That list you will find it over here. Just go through with that list. That presumably can be important, but obviously जब तक मोदी जी हैं तब तक तो डिफेंस सेक्टर सबसे ज़्यादा इम्पॉर्टेंट रहेगा. So that can be important. Another sector which is important until unless Mr. Modi is here or the governmental policy is concerned, information and communication technology, IT. One of the major one currently. Majority of the current affairs you will presumably find as far as science and technology is concerned, which is rotating around information and communication technology. Many things, starting from digital payment to many other aspects, but few things which may be important as far as information and communication technology is concerned. First one, the continuity of net neutrality may remain. And a comparative analysis with we may say a particular initiation taken up by Government of India for data sharing, or the data prices, or the data tariffs, the guidelines of TRAI related to partial data tariffs by the different sectors of the data providers. That may be important. Comparing that thing with the data tariffs initiatives taken up by Telecom Regulatory Authority of India, and how it can be helpful, or what could be the benefits of net neutrality as far as the spread of digital India is concerned, or utility of digital India is also concerned, or we say approach of having a network or its utility is concerned. That may remain a particular issue in continuity. Second thing, what is the need of having data security in the country and its comparison with network security or cyber security, and it's linking with the initiatives like big data initiative. All three of them are important. Obviously, there have been many things associated over here. As far as cyber security is concerned, there are malwares, there are ransomwares, associated. And if we look up to the utility of having a data security in the country and how the big data initiative has been one major important area which has been initiated by the government on a whole, that can be important this year as far as security aspect is concerned. Apart from this, again, the big data initiative and its utility. Now, this is one particular topic, that's what I was speaking about, that we must link science and technology topics to other sectors also, to other sections also. Social sector, governance, health sector, or etc. and etc. Utility of big data initiative in social innovation. How, what and when? For this particular topic, you will find three major, just Google down, you will find three major things. First one, big data initiative and social innovation in the country. That is one particular article in Hindu that was in probably May 2017. That you can go through. Apart from this, two more things. One particular paper, one PDF you will find on Google itself. When you will Google down this particular term itself, you will find one particular PDF related to big data initiative and social innovation. Just go through, there are certain steps which are mentioned in big data initiative and social innovation. That can become certain points related with the answers that can be written over big data initiative. That can be important. Apart from this, technologies like blockchain technologies, and their utilities in maintaining data security, utilities in other sections also, like the electronic voting machines have been under doubts. So can blockchain technology be one thing that can be used in EVM? Obviously that was one question in our test series also, blockchain technology and EVM comparison, that can be taken up. Apart from this, blockchain technology and secure channel of information, whether it can be created or not, or whether it would be feasible or not, how it can be useful in this, that can also be one aspect. Comparing its utility with digital India in the country, that can be another issue associated with this, that you can take up as far as blockchain technology is concerned. Apart from this, when we speak about data security, apart from data security, data sovereignty in the country, and again linking that thing to big data initiatives also, linking that particular thing to network security or the cyber security issues also. Comparable issues can be created on this, that whether we actually require data sovereignty in the country, and if we require data sovereignty in the country, then whether there must be a separate infrastructure for cyber security and data sovereignty, or rather encryption and comparative understanding of encryption versus cyber security. That can be one particular aspect. Where questions can be raised. Apart from this, the certain policies like the Electronic Development Fund, and its utility in IT sector, also linking again this to Make in India, to IT sector, to social sector development. That can be one aspect where linked issues can be created, like how through this particular channel there could be important things that can be developed as far as rural development and agriculture is concerned, medicine sector is concerned, other governance related sectors are concerned. Here you can create an interlinking aspect as well. That can be one aspect or one particular issue where interlinking topics can be created. Next, the National Literacy Mission, rather e-literacy mission, and the National Digital Libraries. And their utility in improving technical education, school education. Obviously directly we will have it from National Digital Libraries, and obviously linking the e-literacy mission to a step towards improvement in digital India or aspects of digital India, comparing that thing. That can also be one particular aspect where क्या हुआ बहुत ज़्यादा है और इजी है ज़्यादा हो गया I guess I had that particular power to predict all the papers, so I could have given only 3 topics and they would have been in the paper, but the important ones we are talking about. I mean, if you look up to the information and communication sector, the list is heavy this year, e-banking and all that, digital payments, and obviously, so that we are just carving out certain important issues in this. Biotech this year, the Biotech Kisan initiative and its importance. As far as animal husbandry is concerned. That can be important. Second thing, we always have one particular issue related to genetically modified crops. Next thing, linking it to the initiations of food processing in the country. How both, if they will run in tandem, they can be helpful in improving the state of agriculture and post-agricultural products, produce, etc. And how it can be one particular aspect where farmers or agriculture can be benefited. Apart from this, again, we have seen a question that genetically modified crops are the panacea for poverty and hunger. Genetically modified crops and food processing initiations can improve the state of the social sector benefits in the country. That can be one aspect where it can be linked, and obviously the use and the debates of DNA sequencing and modifications have been in news, and they may remain important this year also, because of certain policies created by Government of India for human genome sequencing also, and using it in the criminal records also. That was one particular issue in current affairs. Linking that thing to this particular aspect, use of DNA sequencing and modifications. And one last issue in this, the genetic therapies and their utilities in the country, linking it up with the utilities that can be generated in the national mental health policy. Obviously, when these therapies are spoken about in India, these therapies are spoken about the Alzheimer's disease and the diseases associated with the nervous system. So utilities of that, if generated, then how it can be helpful. Although the draft national mental health policy itself is a draft policy, so certain issues can be raised on that. Medicine, although ये society का topic है, majority of the things you will find in society, but obviously there are certain scientific things. Fixed dose combination drugs, they have been again in news. Issues associated with this, obviously there has been a continuous issue related to generic medicines and its intellectual property rights state, how there are multiple things which are created. One thing where this can be linked with the environmental topic is the national public health policy. Draft has been created. So national public health policy, epidemics, bioterrorism and disaster risk mitigation. A draft policy is created for this. Its utility, whether we require this thing, and comparing this particular thing versus the national health policy. When the national health policy was created, the basic objective was to create an umbrella policy where all these different other policies associated with the health sector can be incorporated and they can be brought into one particular umbrella or one particular single driven aspect itself, right? Or then having national public health policy draft, obviously that is for the environmental sake also, that is for the public health impact assessments also, for public health management also. Comparing that particular thing, that whether this can be incorporated in national health policies, there would be certain initiations that can be comparable to both of these, or if then rather having national health policy draft, rather public health policy, we must have the national health policy or the umbrella health policy, that may be sufficient. So comparing that thing, that do you think that having national health policy would be sufficient enough rather than having another national public health policy? That can be one thing. And then other, just go through simple programs of vaccination, disease control, and the year-end review of Ministry of Health and Family Welfare 2016. then obviously associated with this and ICT was NEHA and its utility, National E-Health Authority. The ICT and health sector, when they can be compared, the utilities of NEHA or e-registration in the health sector, how it can be important. Again, that would sum up this medicine topic associated. One particular topic that we find with technology as well as with environment flanking, that is the energy development. Specifically the renewable energy development in the country. Three things in this: the solar wind hybrid, and a policy for solar wind hybrid has been created. That can be one aspect where we can find important issues associated. Apart from this, in energy sector itself, there have been initiations for improving nuclear power in the country. Nuclear power generation or nuclear power development in the country versus there are certain supercritical or ultra nuclear power plants which are to be planned with the core units. That can be one thing that can be important. Apart from this, last one in this, the mineral exploration policy and its utility in as far as renewable energy is concerned. That can be linked with the nuclear technologies. Right. So, some of the issues which can be important for science and technology this year. Apart from this, in nuclear, there is one thing that can be taken. Number one, the nuclear safety guidelines as far as the civilian nuclear energy development is concerned or civilian nuclear generation is concerned. And there is one aspect where the government is also taking up certain draft policies for inviting private players or rather the enterprises in development of the nuclear reactors in the country. Till date, the Nuclear Safety Authority has been controlling all this thing, or the Atomic Energy Board has been controlling all these things. Now, involving private players into this or developing nuclear power through private players, whether it could be useful, whether it be dangerous, how their regulation can be created, that can be one issue which can be important this year for nuclear part is concerned. Last but not the least, as far as environment is concerned, we can list out 5-6 topics into this. Obviously, the first one, the cruelty against animals, rather environment and biodiversity we look up to. The cruelty against animals bill and the certain amendments which have been taken up, how it can be comparable, or what are the international guidelines for that and the national amended bill comparable to that. That can be one aspect which can be important. Second, as far as environment sector is concerned, the clean coal technologies. Clean coal technologies. And their development or certain initiations have been taken up by Government of India also for the clean coal technologies. Next, health impact assessment under the environment impact assessment patterns of the country itself. Apart from this, environment impact assessment of the urban buildings, although has been a related question last year, but again there are certain amendment guidelines which have been taken up by Government of India this year, which can be important. Third thing, the Kigali Agreement, hydrofluorocarbons and the initiations. Apart from this, the last one in this can be the utilities which are developed for sustainable development, or SDGs and their utilities. And waste management, as far as 3 types of waste is concerned. Solid waste management guidelines have been improved, formation of buffer zones, how it can be useful. Biomedical waste management rules have been improved this year also, that can be useful. Certain guidelines have to be created for nuclear waste management. Apart from this, in the flanking topics with geography, the groundwater restoration and its conservation. Groundwater restoration and its conservation. Topics associated with disaster management. Then there's one national disaster management plan, and the new guidelines have been created with this. Its utility. That can be something where important topics can be taken out. Obviously, the river linking project and its environmental problems, that remains the perpetual issue in the current time. Apart from this, the problems associated with the urban pollution and the issues associated with fixing up of the urban pollution, that also remains one of the perpetual issue that we see. And the water treatment strategies, that also remains. There have been one particular initiation of sewage treatment under Lotus HR program initiated by Ministry of Environment and Forest also. So Lotus HR, that can be one thing. You will find it in your current affairs itself. If not, you will find it in PIB also, Lotus HR. So initiations in sewage treatment, water conservation, that can be one aspect where important topics associated with environment and biodiversity can also be created, right? So I've just tried to keep it simple, compact, so that you can save your time also. Just go through with these topics. These topics can be important this year, subsequently itself. There are too many, I know, but they are far lesser than too many, which probably you might have seen with the current affairs topics also. One thing that you must presumably you must look up to is that don't restrict science and technology to one particular aspect, that okay fine, we'll find only 2 questions. That is, again and again I'm trying to request, they are not only 2 questions, rather they are more than 2 questions which are distributed. Every year you will find. So wherever you find technology, wherever you find technology issues also, even apart from these issues also, if there are certain more issues that you have gone through, wherever you will find these issues, just try to create the utilities of those issues. Technology don't think it is different from PT also. Even in PT also we don't find questions. जैसे current affairs का बहुत सारा आजकल हमको देखने मिलता है ना, कि एक लिस्ट मिल जाता है साइंस एंड टेक्नोलॉजी की करंट अफेयर्स का, देयर आर 30-40 थिंग्स, उसको रट लो काफ़ी है. इवन दैट यू वोंट फाइंड दैट थिंग इन पीटी आल्सो. This year PT also we didn't found any kind of science and technology this year itself. So you won't find that in mains also. Don't expect simple questions or simple technologies or certain facts which are being asked. Now that is not factual. Analytical things are required. One thing. Second thing, important, just go through economic survey once more and dig out the data related with medicine, dig out the data related with health, dig out the data related with education again, and dig out the data associated with renewable energy development. Certain facts, data you will find out, and just utilize those data while writing the answers. Right? Just place those numbers, just play up with those numbers that you will compare and you will create an analysis or comparable analysis based on that particular data. As far as these things or these policies or these topics are concerned, where you will find certain data associated also, irrigation sector also, agriculture sector also. You will find data associated over there and how utilities of technology is developed or generated on that. Probably that can be important. Probably आपने ये सब data देखा होगा, कुछ नया पढ़ने की ज़रूरत नहीं है ज़्यादा, but just go through with what you have already. Good luck for your exam you require.